Hey, welcome to the Me Show Mission. Two men, one podcast. Every black film ever made. My name is Len, aka the Bat Tribble. And as always, I'm joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing our Black History Month celebration of Black Westerns. And tonight, it is the first of 2 weeks in a row where Vince gets to select where we ride our steeds. And tonight we are taking it to the year of 1911, where we will drop in on Thomasine and Bushrod, starring and written by Max Julien, as well as starring his lovely co-star Vonetta McGee, and directed by Gordon Parks Jr. That's coming your way tonight on the Me Show Mission, ladies and gentlemen. But first, as always, we want to thank each and every one of you out there that listens to our show and is watching us as we stream live on YouTube and Facebook at Me Show Mission. How are you doing, each and every one of you? First one in the chat, Robert Monroe Jr., standing at attention. How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's going on, Robert?
Vincent, how are you doing, my good friend?
I am fine. I am here. It is Tuesday. We're doing Westerns.
That's what we're doing. But first, we are answering our listener mail. That's what we're doing first. And to start things off, Vince, we have a message, a email, in fact, from Jennifer A.
Hey, Jennifer A.
Who is recommending in the subject line an underrated movie.
Okay.
I want to recommend Premium, a 2006 movie starring Zoe Saldana, Dorian Missick, and Hill Harper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is a film that you have talked about before, Vincent.
It was my introduction to our friend Dorian Missick.
That's right.
I thought it was earlier than 2006. Is that when it came out?
2006 is when this romantic dramedy, written and directed by Pete Shaman, actually hit the theaters.
I think that may be the first time I saw Zoe Saldana, too.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a neat little movie. Yeah, it's a neat little movie. And I really like Hill Harper in that movie.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Like, he plays a bit of a tough guy.
Hill Harper?
Exactly.
Hill Harper?
He really plays against type.
Okay. Well, you know what? Hey. I'm not going to put that past anybody. Because when we saw Slight, and I saw Dule Hill, who I only knew primarily from West Wing and the TV series Psych, and he plays a sleek, slick, drug-dealing villain in that film.
Yeah.
He got it over, so.
It's almost as if these people pretend to be other people based on a script and when the camera is on.
I know. It's
I
like
think there's a name for that.
Well, I'm going to act like I don't know the name, and I'm going to go on to the next message that we have here, Vince, and that is actually from our Facebook group, The Me Show Mission, where the missionaries have a lot of fun going back and forth with one another, where we got a note from Troy L. Thompson.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, fellas. I listened to your Fast Forward episode today. He must be digging in the archives.
Right. Digging in the crates. I really like that episode.
You opened my eyes to me downgrading the movie from A to B, but there is absolutely no effing way that Troop's version of All I Do Is Think of You is better than the Jackson 5 version. The orchestration alone generates chills, and also I love Jermaine's singing.
Yeah, I actually responded. You know, I love that kind of stuff.
I know.
I love that. I love that kind of stuff.
I see.
First and foremost, to our newer missionaries, I highly recommend the Fast Forward episode because that features Spot Lynn, like my favorite Lynn. Lynn has a soft spot for Fast Forward, and I find it absolutely adorable.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess that's one way of putting it.
Like, if you just listen to the last 10 episodes, you're like, oh, that Lynn. You don't like it. Oh, that Lynn. Go listen to Fast Forward. It's cuddly Lynn. But it seems like liking the Jackson 5 version would be the easy bet. But I maintain Troop's version is better. I think, and I'm just sort of verbatim going what I wrote in response. I think Jermaine Jackson, who I'm a fan of, I'm actually a fan of Jermaine Jackson. I think he doesn't really come into his own as a vocalist
until he's an adult.
Until after the Jackson 5 breaks up. And you can kind of come up with your own reason. I think the easy armchair psychologist read is that he never quite recovered from being in the shadow of his younger brother, Michael.
Right.
Because if you know the history of the family, Jermaine was the lead singer. Like, originally it was the three older brothers, maybe Marlon. And then Michael ended up being, Michael. And then Jermaine got pushed to the background. And I think you hear that in his vocals. And it's funny, I was looking up stuff of that Jermaine sang after, because my two favorite sort of Jermaine performances, we were joking about this a few months ago, the video, but I really love Do What You Do.
I do like that.
Like, I think that's a beautiful song. And I think that Jermaine Jackson holds his own with the two songs he did with Whitney Houston.
Oh, wow. I wasn't going to go there. Okay. All right.
And sidebar, looked up Jermaine Jackson, Whitney Houston, because I couldn't remember the name of the songs. And when you Google Jermaine Jackson, Whitney Houston, it is a pretty well-known rumor that Saving All My Love
is about Jermaine Jackson.
Jermaine Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember reading about that.
I'm the last person on earth to know that she was singing about Jermaine Jackson. It was just me.
I think it was just you. I do kind of remember that. That. It's
but
interesting.
I think he sounds a little kind of tenuous in their version of All Out, which is from 1975. It's actually off of their last studio album with Motown. And then, of course, Troop, that's from their debut album. And that was their big hit. And I think Troop is, going all in.
Well, I think Troop is going all in. And I also think that Troop, because I listened to just a quick bit of the Jackson 5 version before we went on the air. And because I probably had only heard it maybe 2 or 3 times, honestly, right? And I think the Troop is better, primarily because I think as a group, so as a collective group, Troop are better singers than the Jackson 5. The Jackson 5 are Michael, they're Jermaine, and then everybody else is kind of like playing their position.
Right. Tito plays the guitar.
Exactly. Way in the back.
Right. Like that big Apple hat on.
Because that's the only way they can see him. Like, what's that hat in the back? Oh, that's Tito. But Troop, I think, collectively are better singers than the Jackson 5. And on that song, it really shines out because they were more harmonious on there as well. So I do think this is one of those rare occasions where the remake is superior to the original.
Right. And then the Jackson 5's defense, like, that wasn't actually a Jackson 5 single. Like, it was the B-side to Forever Came Today. And then people start kind of picking it up. And not for nothing, part of the reason that, like, I hear him talking about the orchestration and the production, but part of the reason they left Motown is because Motown wasn't really supporting the Jackson 5 like that.
Right.
So by moving Violation, they had really run out of steam, I would say. And it was only when they left that they kind of were reinvigorated. And Jermaine came into his own.
Very true. What I thought you were going to go though, where you started saying about how he's held his own. I mean, he held his own for Whitney Houston. I will give you that, but that's primarily, I think, one, based on the songs that he was singing, and two, where Whitney Houston is in her career at that moment.
Very young, very young.
You know what I mean? But where I thought you were going to go was, because I'm a fan of Jermaine Jackson too. And one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Jermaine Jackson song is the song that he does with Michael Jackson, Tell Me I'm Not Dreaming. And I think good. He held his own with Michael there. There's a confidence there where, it would be very easy because Michael, and it's definitely a duet, it's not like just Michael singing the hook. It would have been very easy to be swallowed by Michael in there. But I think Jermaine has built up his confidence and his name and his prestige and his swag enough at that point where he holds his own with Michael in that song. And that's where I thought you was going.
No. That is a very good point. That is a very good example. This is also a moment that I have to talk again about one of my favorite curios in music, talking about the Jackson family and their confidence. The Jackson 5 live in Japan from 1973.
Yes, yeah, I've heard that.
I love talking about that because it's this wonderful moment when Michael is transitioning into his adult voice, and he doesn't sound confident.
Yeah.
And the brothers kind of step up. And when you listen to the songs, Jermaine is doing a lot more of the singing because in 1973, Michael is still, it sounds like he's still figuring it out. So,
yeah.
And this has been Jackson Talk.
This has been Jackson Talk. Deborah Battle, thanks for chiming in. Jermaine and Whitney Houston song was Nobody Loves Me Like You Do.
That's right. That's right.
And she also says on their song, If You Say My Eyes Are Beautiful, was big with fans of soap operas. That's true.
Yeah.
That is very, very, very true. Good point.
Oh, yeah. So, wait, was that Kirk? Who was that from? Who posted it on Facebook?
That was Deborah. Who posted the whole
right.
The question? It was Troy Thompson.
Yes. So, Troy, thank you for sending me down a rabbit hole of looking up Jermaine Jackson stuff the other day instead of grading papers like I was supposed to. I said, well, this is certainly way more important than these papers.
And I'm sure your students agree. Let's see. I had one other piece of listener mail I wanted to go to. I thought, but I think that may actually be. Oh no, this is from the Facebook group, and it speaks to a question that I wanted to run by you, Vince.
Okay.
Were you aware, Vincent, that The Best Man?
I just saw that.
The Best Man is going to be a TV series on the Peacock network. They have signed a deal, all of the original cast.
Yep, I just saw that an hour ago. That's right.
All of the original cast. They've negotiated 7-figure deals for The Best Man, the final chapters. They're bringing in all the original producers as well, who are going to be on it, doing the work behind the scenes, which are Malcolm Lee and Dana Lynn North. It's going to be 10 episodes. I believe they're set to begin shooting this summer.
Right.
And all your favorites are returning, ladies and gentlemen. Morris Chestnut, Melissa D'Souza, Taye Diggs, Regina Hall, Terrence Howard, Sanaa Lathan, Harold Perrineau, and, of course, Nia Long. The only one who will not be there is Vincent's friend and your favorite.
That's a damn shame.
Melissa Calhoun, correct? Right.
Monica Calhoun.
Monica Calhoun.
Spoiler. Maybe she'll show up as like a Jedi ghost.
Right. It's not like they didn't want her. It's just,
Morris Chestnut's character. I cheated with Tay Diggs again.
Maybe she can come back like the movie Topper. It's a very dated reference. So what do you think of The Best Man, the final chapters, Vince?
You know what? I'm not going to say that they stole our idea. But if you listen to the Best Man Holiday episode, this is exactly what we said.
It's exactly what we said.
This is exactly what we said should happen.
It is. It indeed is. I actually reached out to the person who joined us for that episode, Van Everett, to see if I could get a statement from him.
I was about to say, yeah.
I haven't got a statement from him yet. So are you excited about this, though?
I think I am excited. I think I think, I think the big critique of the Best Man Holiday is that 20 years later, everybody is legitimately a star, so that everyone needs their own storyline.
Right, and this is the way to do it.
This is the way to do it. Yeah, I'm actually excited. This is between this and I know you were ambivalent about it, but I was a little excited about the reimagining of the Fresh Prince. But between this and the Fresh Prince, I am officially keeping my eye on the Peacock.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. Are they? Oh, that's right. They are reimagining the Fresh Prince. But it started with that little reunion special. That's right. Okay.
No. Remember, this is going to be the serious one.
Yeah.
Like it's basically a reboot. Like it's not a.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's a reimagining. Yeah. It's a reimagining. Right. But to kick things off, to kind of like bring it back into the zeitgeist, they did. Right. Oh no, they did the reunion. The
reunion.
Right, yeah. But even though I don't think the reunion was on Peacock.
Right, yeah, that was on, I think it was on
HBO Max. It's weird the way that the whole thing had to work out. I don't know. I'm excited about the business of this. I'm excited that all of them, obviously, I would imagine probably, locked down like all of the people did one day years ago on the TV series Friends, and locked down so that everybody could get an equal cut. And I'm not saying that everybody got an equal cut, but the fact that everybody, it says in the story, which I read from Deadline, that everybody got a 7-figure deal means that everybody at least got good money for this. You know what I mean? So I'm happy for them for that. I'm happy that, Malcolm Lee and all the other producers are getting the chance to further along their story. I don't know, honestly, how invested I am in the story. I mean, I probably will watch it out, probably just, to see how it goes. But I'm happy for the business of this. They made this deal. They made it happen. You know what I mean? There's so many other stupid things, or I shouldn't say stupid, but so many other pieces of nostalgia are being repurposed for all of these streaming services, especially. Then why not The Best Man? Why not a part of our nostalgia as well? So God bless them. Rock on with it.
Oh yeah. Very happy for all concerned. And to kind of piggyback off of what you said, very happy that all 8 players were invested enough to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
Because, not to point fingers, but let's just be real. Of those 8, some of those 8 can demand more than other of those 8.
That's true. That's true. That's
And
what I
I
was thinking.
suspect somebody took a pay cut
Yeah.
just so they could be involved.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I really do think it was probably a case. It's kind of like used to hear about this with the Wu-Tang Clan, and I noticed what happened with New Edition sometimes, where the deal was, you know, in the case of the Wu-Tang Clan, it's all 9 of y'all or it's no deal.
That's right.
And, you know, with New Edition, it, you know, once Bobby is in, like it's all 6 or there's no deal.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike Wu-Tang in New Edition, this is something that, again, pick who you think is the least important of those 8. If that person isn't there, it distracts from the whole thing, and arguably it falls apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very happy that all 8 signed on.
We actually heard back Van Everett just while we were doing this live. Actually, his email came through in regards to his thoughts about The Best Man, the final chapters. And he said, I actually think this could be dope as long as they don't lean too heavily into the soap opera territory. Now, and I think that's a good point. He makes a good point there because it definitely ran the risk of that dipping into melodrama with The Best Man holiday. So
I mean, they killed my girl already. What else are they going to do?
Well, I mean, but there's an argument to be said. You know, they killed your girl. Regina Hall character and Melissa De Souza character apologized to one another. You know, Taye Diggs wrote another book, got another hit. What else are they going to do?
I mean, you know, they got kids. They're getting old. I mean, look.
This is Best Man. This is The Best Man. The final chapters, not the next chapters.
No. I hear you, but trust me, as someone who is surrounded by Black people in their late 40s, early 50s, it's plenty of story.
No, that's true. That's true. That's true. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Deborah Battle, who is obviously vying for an internship on the Michelle Mission, actually wrote that the Fresh Prince reunion was on HBO Max because they have the rights to the streaming the old show.
There you go.
There you go. It's weird how those rights work out.
I know they just I know.
It's weird. It's weird about that. It's funny because it's funny. I was actually just thinking about that because for some reason I was working and I needed just something kind of distracting on TV. I didn't need it, but I did it. I put it on. So I put on an old episode of Taxi that was on CBS All Access, and it's got the little, when it airs, it's got the little CBS All Access down on the bottom. And then as I was watching it, I was remembering the Taxi actually aired on NBC and ABC. It actually never aired. It never aired, but it's because CBS is technically Paramount, and Paramount owns the show. Yeah. Which is why CBS All Access, the streaming service, is going to be rebranded in March to Paramount Plus. Yeah. So. But it was a little distracting for a minute. I was like, this doesn't look right. But there you go. Okay. All right. It's almost time for us to get to our review. But I do, in honor of our celebration of Black Westerns this month, Vince. And we are definitely getting deep into it, into the 70s with Thomasine and Bushrod. We had a question that we put out to the missionaries last week, and I've got another question to put out to the missionaries and you this week, Vince. All right. So, Vincent and missionaries, if you were a cowboy, would you wear chaps?
I mean, I'm assuming I'm riding. Am I riding horses? Which is an appropriate question for this movie.
Very true. Yes. Let's say, for the sake of this question, you are a true cowboy who is, yes, riding horses. So
then yes, I would wear chaps.
You would wear chaps
because I don't want to chase. I don't want to chase.
That's true. That's good. Okay.
I don't want to chase.
Then I'm glad to hear that, Vince, because now
you're glad to hear that I'm anti-chasing.
Yes. But even more so, I'm glad to hear that you would wear chaps, because now comes part 2 of the question. So, Vince, if you're going to wear chaps, are you going to wear leather or suede? Which chaps? Which chaps say Vincent to you?
I guess.
Suede with the fringes or leather with the fringes? As we have a picture up here for everybody streaming.
I guess I walked right into that one, huh? Well, you know me.
No, I don't. This is why I'm asking.
I always bet on black.
So you would go with the black leather with the fringe.
Yes.
See, I myself, I would wear chaps, but there's something about those like khaki colored suede ones. I don't know. They look kind of fly. I kind of like them.
You're not being distracted by the
leopard print. Oh, this is going to suck on the podcast, but if you were watching this, this is the best part of the show.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well.
All right.
Well, enough of that. All right. Let's get into our review of Thomasine and Bushrod. But now it's time for trailer talk.
Yeah.
Which is where we talk about. So Vince, would you? I can't even hear you. I can't hear you. Your audio's not on. You got to recharge your headphones. Now your audio's not on. Is he going to call me again? I think Vince is about to call me. His audio went out, and he picked up his phone, and he's about to. I don't know what he's doing, ladies and gentlemen. Vincent's. It looks like trailer talk is just going to be me talking from the trailer. Are you back on, Vince? Can
you hear me?
I hear you now.
All right.
What happened? Your earphones went out.
Well, my AirPods I thought died, but I think my case died. My charging case. Oh no, the AirPods themselves died. Yeah.
Oh, so now you gotta go get some headphones.
Yeah, so we're gonna do it with the computer audio.
That's fine.
Luckily, on the podcast, we're taping it into.
Yes, we're handling.
Lynn thinks of everything.
Very good. So we'll make it work. We'll make it work.
So now you want to talk some more about the chaps? You want to talk about the?
I'm chapped out.
Okay. Chafing.
You know, I have something for chafing. I do. Like one Christmas, my friend Eric. Wait a minute, my friend Eric and his wife. They gave. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Oh, I'm glad it's trailer talk.
They gave to everyone as part of a case. It's called Modern Adonis.
What? Let me
bring this up for people so you can see. Modern Adonis for dry guys. It's a moisture control balm that is unscented. That it says, it reads on the back, Vince, keep your guys dry and fresh with this silky, soothing balm that applies as a liquid, then converts to a powdery moisture control shield. Absorbs moisture to keep your equipment fresh and dry. Protects your skin from itchiness. Vitamin E soothes and moisturizes and promotes healing, and is infused with pheromones for added sexual attraction.
You all have the strangest secret Santa that I've ever heard of in my entire life. I'm just going to say that.
It's Modern Adonis. I'm going to see if they want to sponsor the show. You want some? You want me? Because
I'm good.
You good? You're gonna get some chaps.
I'm all right.
I'm sure Wendy is scrolling through Amazon as we speak.
All of that was just talk anyway, because I don't really mess with horses.
It's all about the look. Is it really about? It's not about the horse. It's about the look.
I'm not putting them on if I'm not on a horse.
Please, I am. Anyway. Robert Monroe says we're freaky Philadelphians.
Robert, I'm just here to talk about movies.
Okay. All right. All right, Vince. It's time to get into our review.
All right.
Yeah. So give me a couple of seconds.
Absolutely. I'm gonna get all the Jackson 5 stuff off my screen.
You do that.
Open up my Thomasine and Bushrod stuff.
That should be a page. Oh, I'm spoiling. I'm burying the lead.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thomasine and Bushrod, a 1974 blaxploitation western directed by Gordon Parks Jr., written by and starring Max Julien and Vonetta McGee, released by Columbia Pictures. It features a title song by the one and only Arthur Lee and performed by his band Love. Thomasine and Bushrod go on a crime spree through the American South between 1911 and 1915, acting as Robin Hood type heroes who steal from rich white capitalists, then give to Africans, Mexicans, and Native Americans. And this film was Vince's selection for the start of 2 weeks of our Black History Month celebration of Black Westerns from the man, Vincent, what say you, of Thomasine and Bushrod?
How do I want to start this? I think sort of spoiling it or spoiling the review, the story around this movie is probably more interesting than the product itself. 1974, Max Julien was a pretty big deal. He had been acting for years. This is actually our third film that we've seen Max Julien in. He was in The Black Klansman, and then he was in Uptight.
In supporting roles in both.
In supporting roles, but the film that he's most well known for is 1973's The Mack,
right,
where he plays the pimp Goldie. But besides being an actor, he was also a writer, and he wrote the script to Cleopatra Jones, another film that we've spoken of. And Cleopatra Jones was a film that although he wrote it, he didn't really have a lot of pull because he wanted his girlfriend at the time, Vonetta McGee, to play the title role.
McGee.
And the studio said no.
Right.
And he went with Tamara Dobson, which I think we can all agree was a better. I mean, you can't imagine anyone else being Cleopatra Jones than Tamara Dobson.
Yeah, it worked out. It worked out. Definitely.
Wait, now I can't hear you, Lynn.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No, I can hear like a little bit.
Oh, I'm talking very loudly. I don't know why you can't hear me. I hear you fine. And you were just hearing me.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
So between Cleopatra Jones and Thomasine and Bushrod, Max Julien writes the script for this film, and he writes it for Vonetta McGee. Mm-hmm. And as part of the deal to get it produced, A, he has to produce it. B, he has to star in it as well. So this stars the real life couple of Vonetta McGee and Max Julien, and that's sort of the background.
Right. You're saying McGee though, which
I'm sorry,
confusing. McGee,
which sidebar, I found out today that Vonetta McGee and Lynette McGee, Vonetta McGee with a K.
Well, Vonetta McGee with a G.
Vonetta McGee with a G and Lynetta McGee with a K are not sisters.
Which, once you get the spelling down, you realize it. But without that, yeah.
And I'll have to say that this is so little known. Like, I've literally been writing and saying this for 30 years. No one has ever corrected me.
Right.
No one has ever said they're not actually. It actually gets confusing because when people talk about Lynette McGee, there are actually the McGee sisters. Mm-hmm. And her sister Kathy was an actress. The third sister isn't an actress, but they say Lynetta McGee and her sisters.
Right.
So then Vonetta McGee, and they kind of sort of favor each other. Mm-hmm. Like, they look like they could be sisters. But anyway, Vonetta McGee and Max Julien are a couple, and they make this film. And I have to say, this is a film that frustrated me to no end. It really did. I think one of the reasons I enjoy this month that we do is I think just thematically, there's something beautiful about Black Westerns. Mm. Like, I really do think that convergence of history, pop culture, and race in America, where you look at the Cowboy movie, when you look at the Western, and you see how Black people were systematically erased from this period of time, when historically 1 in every 5 cowboys was Black. Mm-hmm. Whether we're talking about Posse, whether we're talking about the Wild Wild West, whether we're talking about Buck and the Preacher, I think that there's something noble about creators reinserting us into this history. Mm-hmm. When you look at it through gender, I think there's something beautiful about Black women being part of that story. Yeah. And one thing, again, that I have enjoyed over the past couple of years when we've talked about Westerns is, the image of Ruby Dee in Buck and the Preacher. Riding with her gun. That moment at the end of Django that I adore. Mm-hmm. When Mary Washington spins around and has a rifle in her own gun. Silly Gang of Roses, a silly disposable movie. But I love that image of these Black women who are now a part of this. And this was a real opportunity to have a Black woman in the foreground. And I just don't think Vonetta McGee was up to the challenge. Mm-hmm. This is our second time talking about her on this show. She was in Blackula. I liked her better than you did in Blackula, but she was very much okay in Blackula. Mm-hmm. Right. She was in Sleeping with Anger, but Sleeping with Anger was this huge ensemble that she basically played her position. Mm-hmm. But I think that is Vonetta McGee's speed.
Right.
Like, I think if she's in an ensemble, I think if she kind of has her lane, she does fine. Like, I like her, but I don't think she's a strong enough actress to really carry this film.
Right.
On the other hand, there's Max Julien. And Max Julien just has this real affectation where he's kind of laconic or monotone. And the reason I brought up that we've talked about him twice, and I'm glad that you clarified, is he was in a supporting role in both of those films. He works in the Mack because that actual character works like that. Like that weird construction of a pimp, like a movie pimp, he works like that. But Max Julien is also not the greatest actor.
Right.
And ironically, for them to be a couple,
here we go.
There is no film chemistry between.
Here we go.
Like, I was watching it and I actually went and looked back and I said, well, when did they break up?
Did it happen?
Because I thought maybe they were, I'm trying to figure, it's like this man has used up all his chips and influence from the Mack. Like this is real baller stuff right here. He made a movie for her. Like, I made you a movie. But there's no chemistry there.
No.
And that is a big problem with this film. I think the other big problem, and the part that, because that's just, I just don't think that's there with them. Like, that's just, they needed someone else in those roles.
Right.
But I think what frustrated me the most about this film, frankly, was the script itself.
Which he wrote.
And what I thought about this script, it's funny, I was mentioning grading papers earlier. And I teach freshman comp. I teach a lot of freshmen. And I tell them all the time, oftentimes what happens is that they write their papers, and I always say you have to write the bad out. So like it'll be a 5-page paper, and you'll get to like halfway down the 4th page, so it'll be 3.5 pages, and they will write themselves into the thesis. And I'll circle that paragraph and say, the paper should have started here. Like you did all this other stuff. You didn't want to get rid of it, but you should have got rid of it and then started your paper here.
Right.
There's a moment in this film. The film starts, Thomasine is a bounty hunter. She's already a bounty hunter, and she's kind of doing it, and they just sort of amble around that and what it means. There's a couple of moments that I kind of like. Bushrod is a horse whisperer, basically.
Yeah, more or less, right.
And I mean, they tell us
chaps. He wears chaps.
He wears chaps. He punches a guy who abuses a horse because he doesn't have his ability to blow smoke in the horse's nose and tame him. And then they kind of come together because Bushrod has killed somebody in the past, and there's a bounty on him, and they come back together, and then they escape. And there's a moment where they become bank robbers, like almost 45 minutes into the film.
Yeah.
And at the end of the previous scene, a woman who takes their photograph says, I would never imagine them robbing banks because they're black people. Because I do like the way they kind of handle race and the casual racism. And she says, black people just sing and dance and steal chickens. Like they would never rob banks. And then they cut to the next scene, and they're both wearing these elaborate Western outfits through a 70s prism. Like they're in no way realistic, but they kind of work because it's a set. Like you see it's very stylized. And they go into a bank, and Bushrod says basically, my name is Bushrod, and this lovely lady is Thomasine, and we're here to rob this bank.
Right.
And for about 15 minutes, the film pops. Like they do these black and white film montages.
Yeah, because that's where you go to a montage. Yeah.
And it goes, and it's like, well, this should have been the first scene of the movie. Like, it should have started here.
Or at least got there a lot sooner.
It got there. Even there, they kind of lose track of that.
Mm-hmm.
And the script kind of rambles around, and then Glenn Turman shows up 20 minutes before the movie is over. And you just get the sense that the script needed 2 or 3 more drafts.
Right.
Like the script itself, like we can talk about the acting, but the script itself needed 2 or 3 more drafts. And again, it's very frustrating because something like a Bonnie and Clyde type couple, a black Bonnie and Clyde type couple robbing banks because people underestimate them because they're black is a great story.
Yep.
Hell, Thomasine as a female black bounty hunter is a great story.
Right.
They have this wonderful detail where it's set in 1911. And every now and then they allude to the fact that the Wild West is closing up. You know, the automobiles play a large part of this film. And this kind of back and forth between, are we going to be on horses or are we going to be on cars?
Right.
There's this moment that slips away. It's so frustrating. Glenn Turman's character comes in at the end and says part of the reason that he has come to where Bushrod and Thomasine are, he said they're putting up barbed wire all over Texas, which is actually how the frontier got quote unquote civilized.
Exactly.
Because the landowners start throwing up fences, but they say it and then it's gone.
Right.
So that what you end up with is a film filled with missed opportunities.
Right. Yeah. And frustration is a perfect word for it. Like I do not disagree with anything you have said so far. And I'm so glad you said it. So now I don't even have to repeat it because I didn't want to have to be the bad guy coming on here and saying like, you know, Vonetta McGee, she's not. I can see why they maybe went with Tamara Dobson with Cleopatra Jones because she's not. And actually, it's a failure on both of them because she's asked to come across as this kind of like, you know, tough as nails bounty hunter. Right. And she's not bad. But to be honest, she's one of the better things in this movie, acting wise. She's not great acting, but she's one of the better things in here. And I think that's because the movie and the script, as much as it does give her needed another pass, you could feel Max Julien trying to write a true character for her that was unseen on the screen at that time. You know, like you said, a black woman bounty hunter in the Old West. The woman is more or less the mastermind about how they are pulling off these robberies. She's the smart one in this crew, you know, much to his chagrin. And, you know, and Bushrod, I mean, first of all, look at it. If you just told somebody never seeing this film is Thomasine and Bushrod, you would think that the woman is Bushrod. You just think she's going to be the second billing, but she's not. It's actually the lead is Bushrod, and he is second billed as far as this robbing duo because she is the one that tells them what to do. She is the one that, you know, makes it work. And the frustration that the script tells you he feels is an interesting way to go with it as well. You know, how does he deal with, you know, like, oh my God, like, yeah, we're robbing banks, but all of a sudden you're telling me what to do and everything like that. I mean, like, come on. And the script gives lip service to his feelings about that, and there are scenes that play out about that, that play that out where he actually smacks her because of how they're talking to one another. But because, like you said, there is zero chemistry between them, you don't care. You don't feel it at all. And that's because there's not only is there no chemistry between them, but because Max Julien is so laid back that you don't believe anything that is said. Like when you mentioned in the beginning of the scene, because some dude is not a horse whisperer and is treating a horse rough, and Bushrod shows him how it's done, and then Bushrod walks up to him and says, "That's how you buck a horse," and he punches the dude off the fence. I was waiting for the scene after that for Bushrod to be shaking his hand because it hurt, because there's no way that you can make me believe that Bushrod had the strength to knock that dude out in one punch off the fence.
Right.
Because then it cuts to Bushrod playing poker with all these white guys, and these white guys are being, it's a typical scene, they're being racist towards him and everything like that, and Bushrod sitting there taking it and pulls it, he takes it only but so far until he pulls his gun, but he doesn't shoot. He just walks off, and like the piano, the dealer's like, "Man, you lucky, man. I was Bushrod. Bushrod, you don't mess around with Bushrod." I'm like, who cares about Bushrod? Like, are we really seriously scared about Bushrod and his Larry Fine wig that he's got going on?
Right.
Like, are we really supposed to be scared of Bushrod? I mean, like no. And even if we are supposed to be scared of Bushrod, are we really supposed to be scared of Max Julien, who in every scene where he is asked to brandish a gun, looks like it's his very first time ever seeing a gun, let alone picking up a gun and shooting the gun? Neither of them know how to hold a gun or shoot a gun. I mean, that made I was like, yo, what is happening here? That took me out of this movie so much, their lack of chemistry. And then you talked about Glenn Turman showing up at the end. Thank God for Glenn Turman, because I woke up for the last 20 minutes of the movie. Right. And this is Glenn Turman before Cooley High. He's not Glenn Turman yet, So is he over the top a little bit because he's playing this wild Jamaican guy on the plains? I'm like,
why not?
What? I'm like, okay, at least he's adding some energy into this movie. He's backflipping off of horses. Yeah. He knows how to shoot a gun. He's riding the horses. I'm with it. And the other shame about this is that the film is directed by Gordon Parks Jr. It's not badly directed. It's not. It opens with some real typical Western vistas of the plains and stuff, and it's beautiful. And there's a nice shot of them, slow motion playing in the riverbed, and it plays on a little bit too long, but it's nicely done. It's not a badly made movie. I mean, you can nitpick here and there, but from a production standard, it's not badly made. It's the shame of it is Max Julien being the writer and the star, and Vonetta McGee being the co-star are the people that bring this film down. And it really is a shame, because like you said, there's a story here. We've talked about before about how many of these movies, especially from the 70s, are begging to be remade. This is a movie that is begging to be remade, man. There's really something here.
Look, one of the programming things that I regret is that we didn't watch Little Woods during the Western month. Mm-hmm. If I ever get a moment to talk to Nia DaCosta, if somehow we are ever in the same place, and you think about how thoughtfully she dealt with race and gender within Westerns,
yep,
in Little Woods, the first thing I'm going to say to Nia DaCosta is, have you thought about remaking Thomasine and Bushrod? Imagine what she would do with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine what she could do with this.
I know. You're right.
I mean, it is a shame.
But what I don't get though, because as I was looking up information about this movie, and I was seeing, because I don't want to, to be fair, you can't find a lot of information about the film.
Oh
right?
yeah, it's definitely something that's almost vanished.
Right. But what little bit I could find was mostly the thoughts of people who have seen the film.
Mm-hmm.
And it appears, at least from everything that I saw, there's a lot of love for this film. There's a lot of people like herald this as one of the classic films of the era. And for the life of me, and don't get me wrong, I wanted to go in believing that. And I watched this film wanting to believe it. Maybe it's like, all right, well, maybe they're saying classic because they're pulling, not the film in general, but there's something here. Maybe there's a performance, or maybe the cinematography is that world breaking, or maybe it's because Glenn Turman is the kind of like, his introduction, but it's not the introduction to Glenn Turman either. So I'm trying to figure out, like, what is it that has made this film beloved by so many people? Because I'm failing to put my finger on it.
I really do think a lot of it is just it being this Black Western. Like I'm trying to look real, like Buck and the Preacher is 1972.
Right.
Like I'm trying to think of 70s cowboy movies.
Well, Adios Amigos is the next year.
Is the next year. So that's after this.
Mm-hmm.
The other big 70s Western that I always think of is Boss Nigga with Fred Williamson and Trevor Martin. And that's 1974. So that's the same year as this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which when people, do you got to edit that? Like, that's the name of the movie. Like, I saw you just look at the timer. I'm sorry. Like, that's actually the name of the movie. You didn't look at the timer.
This part of the show plays on the radio, Vince.
Okay.
You gotta be
okay. So Boss N-Word comes out the same year. And when you talk to, like, this is a very specialized subject, kind of 70s Black Westerns.
Right, very much, right.
So it's like, people talk, I think maybe Boss Nigga a little bit more than Buck and the Preacher.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, no, I wouldn't say that. I think the people cape up for Buck and the Preacher a little bit more.
I've never even, I never even heard of Adios Amigo before like 3 or 4 years ago. And I'm somebody that loves this stuff. Sorry, Lynn. The Legend of Nigger Charlie is 1972.
Okay.
Which that also comes out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if you think of like it's just not that many Westerns from the 70s, Black Westerns. And this is perhaps the only one that really has a woman out front.
Well, yeah.
Like, we love Ruby Dee in Buck and the Preacher.
But she's not the lead in any way.
Well, the title is Buck and the Preacher.
Right.
It's not Buck, his wife, in the Preacher.
Right.
So, I understand wanting to love this movie. Like, I want to love this. And, frankly, if I'm just going to call people out, I wonder how many people have seen it from beginning to end. Like, you see that montage, like that montage.
That montage will fool you.
Mom, I'm Bushrod, and this is Thomasine, and we're here to rob this bank. And then they kind of show, and I've seen stills of them in in those very stylized Western outfits.
And those work. The stills work.
Yeah.
Which are all pulled from that montage, right?
But yeah, I don't.
So I guess so. Then, in thinking about it, I think like then is Thomasine and Bushrod to the Black Westerns what Ganja and Hess is to the Black horror films. Neither of them super well made movies, but the ideas of them, the thoughts behind them, maybe elevate them a little bit more than.
The only reason I hesitate to go along with that is I do think Ganja and Hess justifies itself. Once you I think it's a challenging film, right, but I don't think it's challenging because of the quality.
Okay. All right. I hear you. I see where you're going with that. Yeah, I agree.
I think people just want to like Thomasine and Bushrod, and I suspect at the time people liked them as a couple.
True, and they actually stayed as a couple. You asked when they broke up. I believe they broke up in 1977. Right.
Yeah, 77. So, but
and surprisingly, I was actually surprised that Vonetta McGee is no longer with us. She passed away.
Yeah, she passed away a few years. Yeah, I remember that. I was just because I like her. And like you said, she's the best thing in a film with some middling performances. Mm-hmm. But even in this film, like once you get her out of her, like there's a moment where she kills the banker and she has a breakdown, and it's like, whoa, come on back in, like easy.
Yeah.
You're doing way too much right now, Vonetta McGee.
Yeah.
So it's a shame.
It is
It's a real shame.
It is a shame. It is a shame. For the life of me, I'm sorry. Because this film, it's Bonnie and Clyde all the way. All the way down to them going out in a blaze of glory. Well, he goes out in a blaze of glory.
And you know what? And let me just talk about I want to circle back. I don't want to lose this. When you said you could see Max Julien as the writer trying to create this character for Thomasine.
Mm-hmm. Thomasine,
I'm sorry. He must have used all his energy with that. Because what is going on with Bushrod?
I do not know.
It starts out, somebody says in passing, you grew up with circus people.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, certainly that's going to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe he's is he an acrobat? Like he grew up with circus people. That seems like something that's going to go somewhere. The old black man says, I just wanted to put my eye on you. The rumor is you can't die.
Right.
And I said, well, clearly that's going somewhere.
And we're talking about first 5 minutes.
Yeah. He grew up with circus people and he can't die. So certainly this is going to be important later in the film.
No.
Then there are 5 minutes where they're up in the mountains with some black Indians.
Yeah, I didn't really understand what was happening there.
So what is going on? And again, you just get the sense that Max Julien was just sort of writing stuff.
Yeah. And if ever a movie was like begging for like at least one flashback to these illusions that you keep making, these wistful, mystical illusions you keep making to your origin story. Like
Lynn, for 1/2 hour, I waited for this you grew up with circus people to be important. For one full half hour, I was waiting for him to juggle or, do some miming or
run into the circus.
Swallow a sword, something.
Or maybe Glenn Turman was in the circus with him because he had the trappings.
Right. Remember when we were in the circus? It's like, all right, circus. Like, I expected him to be a strong man, like something.
No. But Glenn Turman is another person from his past.
Right. Who's Jamaican. And don't have no shirt.
And is allergic to shirts. Yes.
I'm Glenn Turman. I weigh 80 pounds. I don't have no shirt. And a floppy hat.
And yes, I can do Jamaican.
Wait a minute. There aren't any Jamaicans in here, are there?
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I can definitely be Jamaican as long as everybody in here is from Detroit.
So Vincent, the $64,000 question is:
yeah,
would you recommend Thomasine and Bushrod?
It pains me. It actually pains me to say no. Like, it hurts to say no because I really, really want to love this movie. No, right. I really want to like I realized as I was watching it, like, I know I've seen it before, but I must have blocked it out my mind. So unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to say no.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a twofer here, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I can recommend this for you either. Now, I should offer this one proviso.
Okay.
I did let a friend of mine know that we were watching this film for the show, and she did watch the film last night.
Okay.
And then wrote to me to say that, she didn't think the film was half bad. She didn't think it was great, but she didn't think it was half bad. So, that means that, and like I said, there are people who have watched this film who stand by it, who cape for this film.
Oh yeah, so, people really like this film.
So, if you want to go watch it, feel free. But don't say that I told you so.
Yeah.
Because I can't recommend this movie. I don't think it's, and I kind of agree. I don't think it's half bad, but I just don't think it's good enough to get over the frustration that it made me feel.
Yeah.
Right? Because some movies aren't half bad. You're just like, all right, well, it is what it is. But this, it begs to be so much more. And it
look, if you can get somebody to take this actual script and give it, like you said, another pass, like somebody just take the script and slice it. And again, I hope Nia DaCosta makes $1 bazillion after Candyman, after Marvel 2, and could just do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Kind of like Barry Jenkins went and did If Beale Street Could Talk. I would love to see her bring the Littlewood sensibility to this. I would love that.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, go get Tessa Thompson to play her. Like, just put the Littlewoods team back together.
Yeah. Get
Tessa Thompson to play Thomasine.
Yeah.
It don't even have to be Thomasine and Bushrod.
It could just be quiet as kept.
It could just be Thomasine.
The opening minutes where, look, Vonetta McGee, say what we have about her acting. Those opening minutes where it's just her, I would have been fine if Max Julien never showed up.
Look,
maybe she gets baked into the acting a little bit more.
Part of the reason I thought about Littlewoods immediately, that moment in the beginning where she catches the guy and you find out she's a bounty hunter and she goes to collect her bounty and the sheriff pushes her into the
other cell,
so that you get this real sense of how vulnerable she is as a woman and as a black woman, I actually wrote in my notes, I said, well, this is just Littlewoods.
Right.
Like this is what we said for 2 hours with Littlewoods. So yeah, you don't need Bushrod. No. So,
oh man.
Yeah.
But if you did do Thomasine and Bushrod and you had Tessa Thompson, I say get Lakeith Stanfield. But I'm just saying.
Of course.
I'm just saying. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Give us a call.
What'd you say?
I said Nita Costa give us a call. I guess she doesn't need to give us a call. We just told her.
She listens to the podcast.
Yeah, yes.
And if she doesn't, Phil Lord will tell her. Because
all right. So yeah, unfortunately, I think it's a no.
Yeah, it's a no, ladies and gentlemen. Before we tell you what we're going to be reviewing next week on our celebration of Black Westerns here in Black History Month, I invite you all, each and every one of you, ladies and gentlemen, to go out and like and follow the Michaud Mission on all the social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Subscribe on YouTube. You can find us at Michaud Mission. That is MICHEAUXMISSION. Go to the MichaudMission.com, our website, where you can become a subscriber to the Michaud Mission Dispatch, our weekly newsletter, so you can find out what's happening on the Michaud Mission. And we also have a lot of cool articles in there. We got a cool article right now about the cowgirls of color. So you may want to check that out. You can email all your thoughts and concerns to the Michaud Mission at michaudmission@gmail.com. And while you're at the website, hit swag, where you can check out all of our cool design t-shirts and ancillary items for your buying pleasure, brought to you by our good friends at TeePublic. The Michaud Mission is a proud member of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com curated podcast for your listening pleasure. And the Michaud Mission is available as a radio show every Saturday at 1 p.m. on WPPM LP Philly Cam 106.5.
Philly Cam.
The people-powered media station here in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. And the Michaud Mission is available for your wake-up call every Monday at 9 a.m. on WKDU FM 91.7, the voice of Drexel University. All right, Vincent, next week, you're back at it. It's another choice from you, Vince. What are we watching next week?
Adios Amigo. I just mentioned it's a film that I have not known of that long, so I'm very curious about it. Fred Williamson and Richard Pryor, written, directed, and produced by Fred Williamson, which we'll see how that turns out.
Buried the lead there. Okay. I actually think that I watched this film one time as a kid, back in the movies, like for like $1.50, like went there and like a whole bunch of movies were playing. And I seem to remember, I think I watched this movie one day in the movie theaters. So it'll be fun to return to Richard Pryor and Fred Williamson in Adios Amigos. That's next week here on the Michaud Mission, ladies and gentlemen. Until then, he's Vincent. I'm Len. In parting, we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.